Let's welcome Mr. Xiangyang.
Good afternoon. Thank you for being here. I have been to IXDC conferences many times, and this is, as I mentioned here, this is my episode 5. IXDC has only 7 years old. And I just realized there are 3 characteristics of my talk here. Firstly, my Chinese is not good. Therefore, you hear me talk in Chinese and in English. Secondly, I speak many times. I grow personally together with IXDC and also with all of you here. And every time I would like to share some of my personal reflections about the field. Do I have only 11 minutes? I thought it was 18. 18分钟吗？还是11分钟啊？ Okay, never mind. Thirdly, I do work very hard on my lectures. 不像有的老师 maybe one lecture for 10, 11 years. Every year, I do maybe 10 different lectures every time I have something new. That is actually also contribute to my not fluent Chinese because my content are so fresh and I don't really practice a lot. Anyway, so let me actually go through very quickly on things I have mentioned here in some of the past conferences. My lectures are often abstract. Abstract means I don't share the actual projects I do with my students, with myself, with companies. I hope, as an educator, I'd like to share some of the concepts, ideas, theories I learned from my practices. Hope those ideas, concepts would help you as well to reflect the many other great talks from other great speakers. So the first event, I mentioned about something called 5 elements of interaction, and the title was Forgotten Roots of Interaction Design. My 5 elements were action, people, purpose, means, and context. And you can see that 网易的公开课. Second time, it was 2012. My lecture title was Interaction Design and Organizational Change, based on the fact that interaction design actually concerns about sequencing logistics of activities that has lot actually connection with traditional management thoughts. And there are many good reasons why management design are very well connected. Although, of course, I don't have time to go through my lectures again. I shared a very simple node diagram at that conference. From interaction design from traditional industrial design to interaction design, we have moved from objects to behaviors, from functions to experience, from products to services. Then it was 2014. My IXDC changed from interaction design committee to International Experience Design Committee. And at that time, therefore, my lecture title changed from traditional interaction to attributes and aesthetics of experience design. When we talk about experience, like traditional products, like interaction, there are things we talk about of an experience. There are aesthetics and principles. So that was the title for 2014. Last year, it was about experience, purpose of living. I mentioned about experience as principle versus experience as subject. Oftentimes, when we talk about experience design, we use experience as principles for interaction design, for service design, and for other related design areas. But actually, experience itself can be designed. So therefore, I mentioned the difference between experience as principle versus experience as subject. even though I have been an interaction designer, service designer for a long time, over 15 years. Took me a long time to finally become a modern man. As a modern man, I began to use Wubo, Shenzhou, and Yidao. You know why? Took me such a long time to finally be modernized, because it took me such a long time to finally be able to register a PayPal. This is my registration process. Took me many, many times to try again and again. I just couldn't go through this process. I tried to register PayPal. Tell you why. Because I just don't recognize the codes. It took me years, actually. And later I realized that because I was using iPhone, and especially I was using English version of iPhone. So it doesn't really support me to sign a Chinese PayPal. That took me a long time, actually quite a few years delayed compared to you guys to become a modern man. Okay, let's switch channel to Google and Baidu. There are many good reasons for Chinese government, important reason for Chinese government not to let you guys to use Google here. But also there are many important reasons for us to try to use Google. The two simple examples I just mentioned from my paper experience to Google Baidu. There are different levels or kinds of user experiences. From utilitarian, you're looking for efficiency. Emotional, you're looking for positive user experience. And sometimes reflective. You would think, why Chinese government do that? And there must be important reasons for them to do that. And there must be important reasons for us to think about. There are social, cultural considerations behind user experiences, the reflective aspect, and the social, cultural part of user experiences are very important for us to think about. Also, I'd like to mention experience matters, not just in interaction design, user experience design, or service design. Think about Harley-Davidson. User experience has been an important consideration for Harley bikers, from their sound, ergonomics, lifestyle, altogether. User experience has been a key identifier for Harley-Davidson. So don't think about experience only happens since we have interaction design, user experience design. And also from the other disciplines, not just designers, economists like Pine and Gilmore, they try to understand experience from their perspectives. Think about how experience itself can become a good that can be consumed. And he used a very interesting diagram to talk about 4 realms of experiences. So you may have a capist experience, education experience, etc., etc. So it's nice for us sometimes to also to understand how people from other disciplines try to understand experience. And they will help us to practice our own job as well. So in that book, Experience Economy, he mentioned a lot about hospitality and others like traditional dining, financing, but also nowadays patient experience, public services, education become very important for us to think about. Why? Because we're not happy with our taxation. We're not happy with government services. That's why UK is trying to get out, but now many people regret the vote for getting out of EU. Education, are we happy with our education? Maybe no. Many parents are not. Therefore, there are many good opportunities for us to think about how to enhance experiences. Sorry, my lectures goes all over the places. Disney. Many of you have been to Disney, or some of you, if you haven't been to Disney, Shanghai just opened our China Disney. It's a good experience. But this experience is different from my paper experience, hospitality and other things. So this experience is different. And it's a nice example to talk about. Every experience is unique, even though you may go to Disney together with your friend. The same day, same time, you're going through all the same courses of Disney events. But you may not have the same experience because your educational background, your personal educational background, your personal beliefs, and what you are interested in interacting with other people in Disney. So every experience is unique. And that actually is, and there's nice, interesting framework or ways to talk about the characteristics of service experience. They're called IHIP. Every experience, of course, experience is intangible. It's heterogeneous because every experience is unique, inseparable. An experience can only happen when you're interacting with other people. Yourself to be there without interacting with the service provider, you don't have an experience. And perishable. Perishable means when you are out of that Disneyland, the experience ends. Oh, actually, service, I would not say experience. Service you don't take home. You don't buy service like what you buy traditional goods, traditional home appliances. There's something I'd like to mention, co-creation. Many people do talk about co-creation in service design, in experience design, interaction, and traditional ID design. But something we do have to realize. It is very true when we invite users, potential users, to join the designing team to make design decisions. That is co-creation. Also, in service and experience, there's another interpretation of co-experiences. You have to be there, work together with your personal relationship with the service provider. That is co-creation. So the very process of experiencing is co-creation between you and the people you are interacting with. Okay, all over the places. Now I'm getting more wired. So this is a professor, Xiangyang Xin. Many of you have not known this professor. Xiangyang Xin is a professor. He was teaching at IIT, and over 10 years ago, he moved from US to Hong Kong, and I was also in Hong Kong at that time. He was a very senior, very respected professor in design history, design management, and design and economics. I was a young professor. Start from very first year, he was teaching this class, design and value creation. It has a lot to do with hard economics. Many students have trouble to understand what does it mean. So I was trying to help my students and also try to help Xiangyang Xin as well to see what I can do to make that class a better class. The first year, second year, third year, fourth year. For 4 years, I was a young junior professor, but I was also personally well established in the field of interaction design. But as a young professor, I did not miss any single class. Xiangyang Xin was teaching design economics. So at that time when I was at Hong Kong Polytechnic, I didn't think about that at all. I didn't really reflect my personal interaction with Xiangyang Xin until much later. When nowadays I'm at Xiangyang University, I look at my personal relation with my colleagues there. Now I am becoming a senior professor. I think about those junior professors. I try very hard to help them to grow. Some people work very hard, try to learn from other people, from me. And also, they often mention, Xin, you are so lucky. You have so many great people, great legends to support your growth. In Chinese, they call 贵人. Actually, later I realized, Xiangyang Xin was not a 贵人, was not something, he was not there to help me. Because my relationship with him, he became my 贵人. So, took me quite a few years. Now, I realized that is a very important story. As a life experience, now become a story I try to share with my people. Because of story, I have the audience. I try to keep telling my younger faculty members, think about this, how I interact with Xiangyang Xin, how that may inspire your interaction with other people, may support your growth. When it becomes a story, it has an audience. I have a purpose to tell that story, and also, of course, meaning and structure. So that is a very interesting story. It's a story of my personal memory finally to become a meaningful experience. Took me quite a few years, but I didn't realize how soon and then may become an experience. So that social interaction may happen sooner, may happen later. As John Dewey mentioned, we experience cause continuously. Oftentimes, things are experienced, but not in such a way they are composed into an experience. We have an experience when material experience runs its course to fulfillment. Such an experience is a whole and carries with its own individualized qualities and self-efficiency. Last year, I did a lecture at TED Shanghai. You mentioned about experience has its own structure. So you may look at online to see that lecture and experience the expectation, progression, and influence. So that is actually on YouTube, Youku, and Tencent video. I don't think I have this time to really play this video. It's okay. So a couple of years ago, actually now 8 years ago, I was there. When this happened, the major earthquake happened in Sichuan. I was right there, experiencing the earthquake. That was not planned. Not even like my personal interaction with John Haskett. At least I had a purpose to work with John Haskett. The earthquake, I was there, not prepared. No one planned for that. But after a long time, that experience keeps coming back to my personal life for many reasons. Inspired me to think about my relationship with my family members, with my friends and colleagues. Think about why I should be happy, why I should not be not happy. So really that experience enlightened my purpose of life. It was not a planned experience, but after years, that becomes a meaningful experience. Qualities of experience, there's a continuous quality there, there's a purpose. Emotional unity is that unity that makes it as a whole, and intellectual. Intellectual is something that it can be shared. And to us, helps you reflect. As I mentioned earlier, levels and kinds of experiences, they have different kinds of principles to judge what makes a good experience. So experience matters because it shifts attention from designing meanings for living to designing means of lives. So actually, even though I'm not showing any examples of projects, I do have many projects asking my students to try to understand what does it mean to design meanings for life. So designers as creators to designers as enablers, that's a very important thing for us to understand. A couple of good examples I don't have time to show, but I would briefly explain this project. I was a jury member for Japanese Good Design Award. 2011, there was a huge tsunami happened in Japan. Many people were killed. So after a while, couple of years later, there were a group of designers called Sakura Line 311, the design group. They did a very interesting monument along the coastline where tsunami happened. Over 170 kilometers long coastline, plant trees every 10 meters based on where water comes in. It becomes a monument with Japanese national flower, but also so emotional, also actually it's very pragmatic. Helps people just in case, if something happens again, you know where to run after. There are a couple of good examples. I have shown this in some of my other lectures. You may see this from other places. Also, there are a couple of good people you may find, good people you want to read about user experience and experience. Alan Cooper, Ben Schneidman, Bill Buxton, Don Norman, if you try to understand user experience. Of course, there are more other good people. For understanding experience, John Dewey, Richard Buchanan, Mahai, Csikszentmihalyi Mahai, and also a couple of good social scientists. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your presentation.